Hey, what's up, everybody? Joe here with ECRM, and I have with me today Andrew Young, the Vice President of Product Management and Vendor Relations for CBD Emporium. Andrew, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, Joe. Thanks for having me.
So you've been really busy over the past few days opening stores, huh?
That's right. Yeah, last week we opened up our newest store here in Phoenix. It's a beautiful location. We're really excited about it. It's got great exposure in a ideal area.
Great, and your stores are currently open now, your essential businesses, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, here in Arizona, all of our store locations are able to operate. We have been deemed in the state of Arizona as an essential business.
Okay, and what about you? Have you been traveling a lot to these stores, in the process, or what? Just personally, how has it been for you this whole quarantine situation?
Well, we have taken some steps to mitigate or reduce the amount of kind of exposure of everybody here in the company. Been utilizing digital resources as much as possible. I was a main contributor to the merchandising and the design of our newest store, so I did spend a lot of time there last week. I do work with in-store messaging, working with all of our brands and all of our vendor partners to represent that as best as possible in the store. So I do work with our managers with merchandising, in-store messaging, marketing, and so we're really in close contact with all of our vendors, and I'm kind of the go-between between each one of our particular stores that are representing each of our vendor partners, and the main point of contact and integral piece of the design of all those implementations.
Wow, so you're wearing a lot of different hats.
That's right. It's a startup company. It's nothing new to me, but I've actually been in a lot of different positions here since I've been with the company for just over a year, and the company is just about a year and a half old. So we've grown quite rapidly since our first store opened in late 2018, and we're looking forward to future expansion here in the United States.
Well, a lot of demand for CBD. So,
That's right.
yeah. So, all right. So, for those who may not be familiar with CBD Emporium, could you give an overview of the company, the types of products that you sell?
Sure, of course. CBD Emporium. The name, I think, really speaks for who we are as a company. We are a retailer that specifically features CBD based products. We do represent multiple different brands and vendor partners, as we really believe that choice is important. Choice for our clients, choice for our really stakeholders that are looking to be able to have access to various different options, so they have something that fits directly into their lifestyle. We feel it's really important to carry various different categories and subcategories to be able to really have a little bit of everything. So when our clients and customers come in, we ask them a lot of questions to be able to find a particular product that will fit into their lifestyle. We've set up our retail environment to be very comfortable for the general consumer that may not be experienced with hemp and CBD. I know that there's a lot of taboo that's kind of around hemp because of the particular plant that it's derived from, which is hemp. It's part of the cannabis sativa plant. So a lot of people have preconceived notions to that, but what we do is be able to create an environment that really makes people feel comfortable, and we really take that high-end approach where we look for people in higher demographics. We kind of set it up in a way that is reminiscent of, say, a beauty store or health and wellness focused store. So people do feel comfortable. It's not like walking into a smoke shop. It's not like walking into a dispensary, and it's not like walking into a big box store. We really take a consultative type of approach to the way that we work with our clients and customers, since there is a lot of learning that still needs to happen in this particular industry. So we do spend a lot of time, and our consultants, which we call our retail staff, are really specialized into all these products and in the industry, so they can give a wealth of knowledge to the people that are looking for that, so they feel comfortable in making these purchases and establishing a relationship that can span a long time.
You know, you bring up a great point, and I think it's something that may be a bit of a sticking point for the fast moving consumer goods retailers that depend on this quick turnover is
Sure.
that consultative approach. It's really more, you know, when someone's coming in, especially a new person, they have a lot of questions, and you
Right.
need to have someone to have the patience, and you need to have the resources where they're not looking to move product right away, where they can talk to them and educate them and spend that time. And I actually wrote a column recently aimed at mass retailers that they can learn a lot from watching how, you know, dispensaries or specialty retailers sell CBD, because it's a different kind of sale than what they're used to.
It really is. It's definitely a different beast. A lot of these particular aspects that are present in the CBD products themselves really need a lot of explanation, and it could be very high level, where depending on the breadth of the person, what they're really open to learning, to the person that really wants all the details. And a lot of these vendors and a lot of these brands out there put a lot of time and effort into the products that they're creating, and so a lot of times that isn't necessarily easily understood by just looking at a package. And a lot of those finer details or even terminology may be over the head over the general consumer. And so having that consultative approach or a specialized consultant to help walk people through this, to be more familiarized, because a lot of people will just walk away if they don't fully understand it, or maybe purchase the cheapest thing, not knowing that that may not be best for them or give them the best benefit. So that's really where we specialize, is creating that environment and giving that attention and consultative approach to those people, and representing the brands in the way that they feel that they need to be represented, which really converts and translates into a lot more sales for the brand, and creating long-term brand loyalty, as it's really important for the consumer to fully understand the products that they're consuming, and to find a product that's going to work for them, because everybody's lifestyle is different, and finding something that they will want to take every single day, since that's really important in this particular industry, is something that we feel very strongly about.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. I mean, that's going to make you the go-to place. You know, they know that any questions they have, they're going to get an answer, and you're going to take your time. So I think that's really good. Have you seen, with the whole coronavirus thing, more people, more of an interest, or because I know more people, health and wellness is raised to a big extent in everybody's mind just because of what's happening. Is that translating into CBD as well?
It is in certain aspects. I think people's awareness of their own health and wellness and herbal aspects that they can implement in their diet is definitely growing. I think that people are looking at immunity-based type of products to implement into their lifestyle. We've seen people really taking a more serious look at the way that they treat their bodies, the way that they live their life. But I think specifically the major elements that people utilize CBD, which are pain, inflammation, anxiety, and the biggest growing trend is sleep. And the one that really translates in today's society is anxiety. And this is something that people struggle with, and even in today's heightened, stressful type of situation, people are finding great relief from implementing this into their daily routine. And we're definitely finding a lot of people looking for a product that will help provide them a natural way of dealing with heightened, stressful environments, and definitely finding great results utilizing these particular products. So I would definitely say that this particular type of environment has definitely increased people's awareness, and increase the volume that people are purchasing.
Great. Well, that's good to hear. And what about your offerings? So you span a lot of different categories, and you also have branded and store brand products, correct?
That is correct. We are really looking at all the different categories that the CBD industry has created products for, and every single day there's new subcategories that are coming out and new evolutions. We're really looking to find what categories work best for our general consumer, and finding what they are really desiring and what they are looking for, and coming back and purchasing time and time again. And so it's a new industry, so we're all learning. We don't necessarily have a lot of data to go off of. Every year there's more and more data coming out, so it's more of a research type of aspect, and we're always trying new different things to find out what's going to work, what's going to sell. Putting out questionnaires, getting feedback from our clients and customers, our CBD consultants, what are they hearing, all the way to our vendor partners, and finding out what other trends are happening in the industry, and adjusting to suit. And it's definitely been an evolving process here in the retail side of the CBD industry. And I've been in this industry for about over 5 years now, and seen it evolve so much in that time frame. And where we're at right now in society, I think is fantastic, and I'm really excited for the future because it's growing exponentially right now.
Yeah, I think the stigma is shedding.
That's right.
Especially as just personally from my experience. So I have my mom and dad. My dad has back pain. He has he had two back operations. My mom had some nerve pain, and took a little while of convincing them. But
Sure.
my mom finally tried a CBD topical for her nerve pain, and it was the only thing that worked, and it worked
Right.
instantly where nothing else worked. And then she's also taking pills for her hip pain. And my dad actually would try it as well. He didn't see as many results, and that I think goes to the unique nature. It's very very, you have to try different things.
Right.
But yeah, my mom hit on it right away, and but 2 years ago they would have never even considered it.
Right.
And it's like, oh, that's too close. It's like weed or whatever. So, and they, so if they can change, I think it's a sign of what's happening just in general. It's the stigma is kind of off of it. People understand now. And even on the, retail side, we're talking, some of the mass retailers, they kind of understand it a little better too.
Sure. Yeah, I think that story that you just referenced is a great example. There's a great amount of people out there that have had firsthand experiences, or friends and family that have had personal positive experiences that have changed a lot of people's minds. This particular industry in the retail environment has definitely been a journey. And so we've seen people coming in just to get information, and being able to go back and research that, to find out for themselves if what we've conveyed to them is accurate. And after they confirm that, they usually come back in. And we have an extremely high conversion rate at CBD Emporium, but there are those people out there that have just made a decision before they even walk in that they're in there to do research. But what we find, 9 times out of 10, those consumers go home, find research, and come back in and make a purchase. And the journey usually starts with, like what you had mentioned, a topical. Topicals are my favorites. It's how I got into this industry and why I'm sitting here. I've got carpal tunnel from a career in my drafting architecture industry, and it was so painful for me. And this was about 8 years ago when I had tried a topical for the first time, and it changed my life, because when I thought what pain relief really ideally was, that's what I got from this product. And before that, I just knew of the psychoactivity of cannabis. I didn't understand the true properties that this plant actually found. And once I experienced that for myself, it lit a passion to bring this to the world and scream it from the hilltops, because this is something that everybody needs to know about and to try as their first line of defense against pain and inflammation. And that's just one caveat to this particular industry and these products. And, it's topicals are something that people can utilize and find benefit instantly and be able to it's non-invasive. So it's not nothing that's people that are apprehensive would, shy away from. They can put it on, and, what we're also finding is some of the most apprehensive people are turn into our biggest advocates, because, they're really against it, and then they try it and it actually works. And now they just will tell every single person about that. And once they try a topical and it works for them, it opens up to, what else can this plant do for me? And it's the same thing with maybe a pet product, because sometimes people, will purchase things for their pet that they won't for their person. And a pet is very unbiased. If you can see a pet having a benefit, it's not lying, it's actually working. And then they'll go out and try it for themselves. So this industry is definitely a journey. It's people warming up to these products, to these compounds, implementing them into their lifestyle, and really seeing benefit as they gradually warm up to, this hemp plant. And, it's definitely something that is continuing to grow. Something that we've definitely seen over the last 16 months is that full spectrum is definitely on the rise, and people are more open to the trace amounts of THC than they ever have been before. And the entourage effect is something that people are experiencing, and definitely understanding how that complex chemistry actually works and plays out.
Great. And it's interesting. So you have those two lines of kind of entry products, the topicals and the pet. But you're right. They see the results, and then that will make them more comfortable in exploring other areas. Now, are you also providing education through digital? I know there's a lot of restrictions within advertising, what you could say, but are you leveraging, those resources as well to get the message out?
As much as we can. It's been very difficult being in this particular industry. It kind of at times feel like our hands are tied behind our backs.
Mm-hmm.
And the digital has been very touch and go. We're always finding, what is being accepted and what is being easier for people in the industry to utilize for messaging. And because of the compliance side of this particular industry, and compliance is something that we take extremely seriously here at CBD Emporium. We really double check everything that we do when we put online, because that's really permanent, and that's really what's being compliance checked more than anything else that's out there. And so we're very careful, but we do utilize our membership base that we send out periodic emails and monthly newsletters, keeping everybody informed on what's going on at CBD Emporium. We have our social media channels that we utilize, as well as various different forms of advertisement and marketing. And we're looking into starting a podcast here in the very near future, as well as various other different forms of blogs and informational type of tools that we can offer to our consumer base, and really give a voice to the vendor partners that we work with, and be able to distribute the information that people really want to hear. So we're always exploring new avenues of releasing that type of information, and we're really excited for the future of the online platform, as we've seen that grow exponentially over the last couple of months, and we're really doubling down on that change in consumer bias. But we still feel that having a retail setting for this particular industry is extremely important for people.
Definitely, because you can get into those details, and you can have those more deeper conversations with the customers.
That's right. I mean, I think the biggest aspect is a lot of people that are coming in and seeking out CBD have a very personal story.
Hmm.
And they have a very personal reason why they're seeking out these products and compounds. And by sharing that with somebody that is empathetic and knowledgeable about these particular products, really creates that trust and that relationship. And I will tell you, there's no better feeling than helping a client or customer and having them come back in and tell you how impactful it has been for their life. And the same thing for that client and customer, having that in-person experience and having that relationship, that one-on-one person that you can see and find out new products. That's something that you can't get over the phone, you can't get on the internet, and I think is very valuable for this particular industry.
Yep, and that's a good segue into the next question I had, which was about, now on the sourcing side, those one-on-one in-person meetings are kind of off the, menu for at least a couple of months. But before we get into that, what do you look for when you're sourcing, when you're looking for new suppliers? What are some of the how do you vet them? What are some of the criteria that you use to kind of weed them, weed out the ones that you don't want and to focus on the ones that you think will succeed?
Well, our vendor evaluation process is something that we've been putting a lot of effort into recently, as we feel that the brands and vendors that we work with are a representation of CBD Emporium. And so I myself have a great passion for CBD products and the brands and the vendors. And so what we've been doing is putting together, in conjunction with RangeMe, a questionnaire form that really allows us to have the information firsthand to be able to utilize during that brand and product evaluation. We also have a CBD Emporium handbook that kind of outlines all of the different elements that we look for in brands and all of the different policies and elements that we utilize in our onboarding process or ongoing. So the brands and vending partners have a really good understanding of how the relationship works together right off the bat. There's nothing that we hide. We really look for brands that are taking science-driven product and brand manufacturing and formulation seriously. Compliance is something that we're really mandating our vendor partners taking seriously. We're looking for more organic type of formulations and ingredients. I think branding and having a specific demographic that they're reaching is very important. Having ideal packaging as well as lengthy shelf life, stability. Niche products I think is really important too. We really try not to have competing products directly, as it doesn't really help create an easy shopping experience for the consumer. Having manufacturing facilities that are CGMP compliant and ISO compliant, also having lab certified testing procedures and QR codes on their packaging that go to that is also very important to us. And we're always finding new niches that we feel is important to our consumer base and want to bring the highest quality products and brands to the clients, so they have an experience that's very positive and want to come back and create that brand loyalty, as it's still a new industry. So creating brand loyalty is really important, where a lot of people don't necessarily have that at this particular time. And so our initial launch strategy is really tailored to creating a new consumer that has brand loyalty to those vendor partners that we do bring on.
Gotcha. So I guess in your role, before this coronavirus pandemic, you met with a lot of suppliers in person, either at industry events or maybe our sessions, or them coming to you, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, I mean, having that energy exchange is always ideal when kind of in this courting process on whether we want to work with each other, and really valued that, and it's been great that a lot of the vendor partners value that as well. They would fly out here and meet with us, take tours around the stores, come to our headquarters, and be able to sit down in person and really hash out the details. That's changed quite a bit since over the last couple of months.
Yep. So now digital has been the way to go. And so you recently participated in our efficient supplier introduction for CBD beverages. How did you find out about it? What were your initial thoughts or reasons for signing up as a buyer?
Well, Range Me has been a fantastic platform for us. Our Range Me representative is extremely helpful. Harrison's been able to really walk us through the whole process and be able to customize it to our needs. Since we have been a retailer on Range Me, various different people have reached out to us for opportunities, and I got an invitation through email to join this new endeavor, and I was pretty familiar with some of the other platforms that Range Me and ECRM have been able to serve and be able to provide our industry, and I'm a big fan of being able to understand more about brands, and having this digital resource where I can sit in my office or at home and be able to get firsthand information straight from the brands and vendors themselves was extremely helpful and enticing. And so I jumped all over it as soon as I heard about it.
That's awesome. So, what was your experience? To take us through once you signed up, right? I'm sure one of our client success managers reached out to you and kind of brought you up to speed on what you would need, what you needed to do to prepare for it.
It was extremely easy, actually. Once I read the email of the general overview of the events, they asked me if I would like to participate, and of course I said yes. They informed me of what the next steps would be, that they would take care of the sign-up process, and email me the instructions on how to log on and send me a calendar invite. And it really was that easy.
Wow.
They sent me an invite to the event and an instructional email that I read through and was able to easily log on the day of the event. It was conducted very professionally and very smooth. I couldn't say enough good things about that whole initial process, because it was so smooth and so easy, and the platform itself, when experiencing the event, was fantastic, and it was well coordinated.
Excellent. Glad to hear that. And I know our client success managers who are involved, especially they're moderating it, they're making sure everything starts and ends on time. And how many did you get to see? What was it, like around 10 suppliers that
I
presented?
believe it was about 7 or 8,
Seven or eight? Okay.
if I do recall. And that particular category, CBD beverages, is something that we are recently exploring, finding out, more elements of how that might contribute to the demographic that we serve, and finding out more of the various options in that particular category was extremely helpful for myself, and finding out various different takes and different perspectives that each brand has really created for themselves, and seeing what would be ideally suited for our particular retail environment was extremely helpful. And it was a much more fruitful experience than just kind of going on a website, sitting down with the founders and really getting the meat and potatoes straight from their mouth. Was extremely helpful.
Oh, excellent. And then any follow-ups, you were given all the information of those suppliers, and then you could always follow up with them via Range Me afterwards, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, Range Me was easily accessible to follow up with their profiles and reach out to them. I did give permission to the client success managers that those particular vendors could reach out to me directly. So they have since then, and we've started talks and communications, and they're going to be sending samples for us to evaluate.
That's great. That's great. So has this changed your perception of the, or not that you had a bad perception of, has this kind of opened up your eyes to more opportunities of these virtual platforms to kind of help you do your job in sourcing?
That's right. I mean, I'm a big fan of trade shows. I've been going to various cannabis, hemp, and natural products trade shows for many years and found a great amount of benefit from, connecting directly to each vendor and their vendor team, gaining a lot of the sales sheets and being able to try the product in person. Having this digital platform was extremely convenient because I was able to not, take the expense or the time in traveling, and having the expensive hotel rooms and meals, and be able to sit in the comfort of my own home or the comfort of my own office and be able to focus in on that, and be able to follow up. And, I got the same amount of information and experience than I did from a typical trade show with this particular event.
That's great to hear. And, we are going to continue our face-to-face programs. Those aren't going away, but we are going to continue the digital platform as a complement to them. We're actually going to expand on it and creating something that is more like our in-person program experience with one-on-one meetings.
Nice.
Yeah, so this way, we're going to be putting out more information about that. This is one of the first times I'm talking about it, but yeah, because we're finding that, and I think it was what happened in the industry forcing everybody to embrace these virtual meetings,
Right.
and it kind of changed the mindset of a lot of people, so that when we did launch the ESIs, a ton of buyers were receptive across
Right.
categories. So now we want to, based on feedback, some of them want more of a in-person, that not in person, but that personal experience. So, these, we're going to continue with these for those supplier introductions, and then we'll have another one that's more of the kind of planning type. So, and who knows, it's going to keep on evolving. I think it's here to stay. It'll just complement everything that we do in person.
That's very exciting. I think you nailed it when you said it's complementary, and it's something to be said about this digital age and some of these tools that have been developed. They are extremely effective. There's a lot of people working remotely. I actually love these type of platforms, and I often say to my coworkers, it's almost sometimes more convenient to do a go-to meeting across the office than it is to come into my office, because I can share a screen and we can both be up to speed rather than having to crowd around a small computer screen. And it's just so effective. And I see a lot of people right now utilizing these technologies for things like yoga classes, and getting a lot of experience from having that. Usually you have to have that in person, and these technologies are being utilized for so many different things at this time, but still getting the same amount of benefit or close to it. And it's opened up a lot of people's eyes and inspired a lot of people as well to invest more into their content creation and their setups. And I think we're going to definitely see people level up in their digital creation over this.
Yep, myself included. Previously, most of my content I got from going to our in-person sessions. And
Sure.
I would do interviews, video interviews with buyers and sellers and industry experts. And it would basically be a fireside chat style. But I would kind of limit them to like 10 minutes because, we didn't have as much time. And what I'm finding is, because this has forced me to do it in this way, we launched a podcast. These longer form Zoom videos let me do so much. First, I'm learning a ton because I have deeper conversations. We explore more. Two, it gives me so many assets to work with. I have a full-length video I can put on YouTube. I can rip the audio and make it a podcast. I can pull out snippets to use to promote the longer form. It just gives you so many different things to do. And like I said, my favorite thing is to be able to have these more in-depth conversations like we just had, because I just learn a tremendous amount, and you just can't do that if you're rushed and you have a little bit of time. So
Right.
it's been really good for me too, and I agree. I think everybody's going to be stepping up their game because they realize we could all do this.
That's right. It's very exciting.
Well, great. Well, any before we go, last question for suppliers who are making a presentation to you in a virtual setting. What are your recommendations? Like,
Well, really treat this kind of like an expo booth. I've seen people that have really gone the extra mile to creating a kind of backdrop and really representing their brand and taking the time and effort into creating that type of experience for buyers like myself. I mean, it really directly contributes to the effort that you put into your brand and then how you represent yourself. And especially when making a first impression, the little details do go over very, very well. And so, taking that time to set yourself up in a way that best represents your products, best represents your brand, I think is extremely important. And also having a kind of a pitch put together and rehearsed, and making sure that you have bullet points that you can really highlight during that time that you have with those buyer, I think is really important, to staying on point and keeping a flow to make sure that you convey everything you want in that amount of time. And also, having additional points of contact, even if you have additional time to utilize. I've seen people kind of have more time than they actually have content for, and kind of get hung up. So make sure that you're well prepared for that time that you do have, and present yourself in the best way possible is the best advice that I can give you during these online experiences. I know some people can get kind of cavalier and casual with them. We do a lot of, since we do have a lot of different stores across the United States and across Arizona, we do a lot of interviewing online. And we definitely kind of take the same methodology when evaluating vendors that we do with interview candidates. So kind of think of it just like that. And certain people like to dress up over the phone and some people don't. And, that really kind of distinguishes somebody from just maybe a consultant to a manager. And really the attention and care and just the awareness that they have of the gravity of the situation. Don't let the computer deceive that type of situation environment.
great, awesome. And what about visuals? Should they hold a product up to the screen, or should they have like 3D renderings that they could share, on the screen? Does either or?
The technical capabilities of the person, the more technical, the better, definitely, of course. But having those particular products there, I think, is really important to be able to feature first and foremost. I think the content was really more important than anything else. It's hard to really convey a product over the camera. I think, having full-sized retail-ready samples sent are ideal, as well as having links provided so people can go to the website or be able to peruse and do further research, and having that readily available, which RangeMe has been fantastic to having those types of resources available. But I think more importantly is having your pitch and having your content and creating a backdrop in an environment. I think is really important, and do a couple of different dry runs or experiments to make sure that all of the setup is available. If you're going to utilize some PDFs, make sure they're all there. You don't have any background information that's not going to be utilized. Have it all in a flow, so that way you can easily flow through your presentation, and you don't have any dead energy or dead space, which always disinterests people and can lose the focus.
Wow, amazing answer. That was awesome. So, Andrew, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to eventually meeting you in person one of these days.
Likewise. Thank you, Joe, and to everybody at RangeMe for everything that you guys are doing for buyers like myself. Really excited for what you guys have in store for us, and it's been a great experience so far. So I'm looking forward
Excellent.
to seeing what we can continue to do together.
Great. Well, you stay safe out there.
Thanks, you too.